It is time to start season 4 of the Traveling Hoopers. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. I am your host, Alan Pettigrew Jr., and in front of me are my beautiful friends, Calvin McGowan and Philip Dixon. Guys, go ahead and let the people hear your voice.
What's up, everybody? Once again, I'm Calvin McGowan, and it's good to start this back. Like I'm excited.
What's going on? My name's Philip, aka the Lamp from Pixar, and it's going good. I haven't heard the intro in it feels like forever. It hasn't been that long, truly, but it feels like forever. So I'm kind of pumped to talk basketball for the next 5, 6, 7 months, whatever it is. Because I've missed this. I've missed this.
I've missed it too, bro. I think the thing that I've missed the most is like just kicking it with y'all. Like that's the sentimental thing I have today before we get into talking about what could be, I don't know, like the best basketball season we've had to watch in probably like 3 4 years. I feel like this is the most balanced like the East Coast and the West Coast have been in a really long time. We have some serious pretenders and contenders on both sides, even though everybody is looking at two teams. And as far as I'm concerned, the only two teams that you should really be looking at in Brooklyn, in LA. And
We will discuss that heavily because I
oh yeah,
disagree. Because I disagree, but I actually believe that I really enjoy the routine of it. Right? It's Mondays. It's 5:30. You know what that means? I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go for it. So like, just to get back into the routine of things, feels nice for sure.
oh yeah, definitely. I'm glad we here. I'm glad we can get this started. And the first thing we can go ahead and get to, we can go ahead and get into the big boys because I don't really like making the people wait like that. So let's go ahead. Who do y'all have? Actually, this is going to be a two-pronged thing. I want to know who you think is going to win the NBA championship, and I want to know who you think is one of those top contenders that you have no faith in whatsoever.
Have zero faith in.
Zero
Zero
faith.
faith.
Zero faith.
Ooh.
Well, not let's not say zero faith because they're up there for a reason, but you're lower on them than most people are. And I'll go ahead and take the first swing. Uh, I will never root against a trio like Harden, KD, and Kyrie ever in my life. I do not care if all of them have sprained ankles or lose a foot to gout. I will always root for them, and I have more faith in that scoring trio than any other team. And I just mean from like an offensive standpoint. Any other team in the entire NBA, I still have more faith that KD, Harden, and Kyrie can get more buckets than most people starting five on any given night. So that is my team. I think we've already seen in the playoffs what they look like defensively. Yes, they have their shortcomings, but if we're talking about a scoring duel, which this game is, who else is going to do that? And they actually have a deeper bench than we give them credit for.
Hmm.
They have solid dudes. They got another guy who can score 20 points at pretty much any time.
Yeah.
Joe Harris. So that's four dudes that can really score 20 plus points a night. Uh, I think they'll figure everything else out. They've already showed us that they can. And
Wait, real
all
quick.
we need is up.
Are you just
Mhm.
just regarding Kyrie's vaccination thing? Like, are
Yeah.
you just completely just disregarding?
I
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm not
Super.
sure if you can talk about
um
them and just like put that to the side.
see
Yeah.
see
Go ahead.
like because something I've been thinking about like last day or two is just that like I think we start talking about contenders and whatever in terms of like who can like who's most likely to come away with the chip. Something we should start from like what their floor is as opposed to what their ceiling is because there are more teams who like the best version of them. It makes sense they could win a title than like okay what's the like if everything goes wrong what does this team still look like? Or like if a bunch of stuff goes wrong. And one of the things with the Nets off rip is that like Kyrie and the whole vaccination thing, so like he's really only going to be playing like half their games, which good for load management or whatever. But like assuming it's still a thing in the playoffs, that's going to cause them some issues.
And it's bad for chemistry, continuity. It's like yeah, during the season they might, learn how to play with Kyrie, every other game, I guess. But that's like disregarding the fact that it's more likely that they're gonna be angry or have in their feelings in some type of way about Kyrie being selfish. Essentially, like I don't care if Kevin Durant is like this apolitical individual who like doesn't think about things except playing basketball. Like, okay, that's fine. Be you. Well, it's not really fine, but whatever. Be you. That's the persona you've given off, right? But in terms of basketball and competitiveness and competition, Kyrie not playing at home games, your record's not going to be as good. And yeah, you still have James Harden, and you guys are going to be good. But with Kyrie, you're not as good. So you're going to have, other teams thinking a certain way about you or thinking they can take advantage of the opportunity, whatever. Just competitiveness in a basketball standpoint, it's going to go wrong in some type of way.
In fairness, real quick, though, if we say, like, this is a thing that lasts into the playoffs where, like, Kyrie doesn't get to play home games because he refuses to, get a vaccine, then, like, them coming in as a lower seed is actually advantageous because that means slightly fewer home games.
That's true. I wouldn't be surprised if Kyrie continues this, that Kyrie just, will be traded or something. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, but that's like if they can find somebody who wants to, like, handle this drama queen of Kyrie. You know what I mean?
Hasn't he said he's going to retire if they do that?
I don't think he said that.
I don't think.
I think it was
I've heard that somewhere.
I think that was like more speculation of like Kyrie's so earthy that if he's traded, it could damage his ego to the point where he needs to go somewhere else and do something else. It's like, dog.
Kyrie is the dumbest woke individual I've ever like thought about. It's like the kind of person he is, I don't think about like on a regular basis. But since I watch the NBA, I have to think about this man, especially since he's on like a premier team. And I'm just like, I don't want to think about your trash decision making skills, but you're forcing me to, and it's pissing me off. I'm not gonna lie to you, like Kyrie, like, okay, whatever. Kyrie at one point thought, the earth was flat. And I think everybody really thought it was like a joke at first. Like he's not being dead serious. Like, okay, Kyrie being Kyrie. And then Kyrie started bringing the sage out. And everybody was like, well, when Phil Jackson did it, you guys didn't say it that. Well, no one was born when that was the case, right? Like, no one was, people angry on Twitter about that weren't thinking about Phil Jackson back then and didn't have Twitter to vent about it. Whatever. All of a sudden, Kyrie turns into this guy who favorite musical genre is probably neo soul. He loves Solange, just earthy man, and he just turning into this anti-COVID vaxxer. I don't know about his vaccinations overall, but anti-COVID vaxxer because he thinks that he knows more people that do this kind of research for their whole entire careers and lives, whatever. In terms of basketball, this is going to come and bite them in the neck. Like it is. It's going to come to bite the Nets in the neck. Kevin Durant is ridiculously good, right? They have a ridiculously good team. You have James Harden and Kevin Durant on one team. You're going to be successful.
You just called Kyrie Irving a vampire. That's hilarious.
Listen, I call a spade a spade. You are going to be successful with those two people on your team. Point blank, period. You really can surround them with anything. You're going to have success, right? James Harden last year just had the hamstring injury. So it was a little, but I'm taking, it's preseason and we got to take injuries out of consideration, right? Kyrie's lack of being there is going to affect them more mentally than it will in terms of chemistry, because not everybody can play like Kevin Durant, no matter what the situation is. I'm going to be Kevin Durant. Not everybody can be James Harden, no matter what the situation is. I'm going to be James Harden. They have role players, and those role players don't have that mentality, because if they did, they would be Kevin Durant and James Harden. So it's going to affect the team in some kind of way. And with that being the case, I want the Nets to win a championship, because I want James Harden to win a championship, just like last year. But with Kyrie doing what Kyrie's doing, I don't think they really will.
All right. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I hear what you're saying, and my only response is
What?
that's our new soundboard. That's Kevin Durant saying, "Y'all know who I am." I think if we're just talking about regular season, I do not care what their record is. If we're talking about a playoff matchup, let's say they're the 3,
Mhm.
and they have to get through the 6 seed, who I don't think they'll have a problem with.
Yeah.
I don't know who the 6 seed is yet, but I can't think of a lot of 6 seeds that are going to give them too many problems. What are we talking about? Worst come to worst is like the Celtics or something,
Okay.
or like somehow they like Philadelphia has a really bad season and they're the 6 seed, and I still think they might take the L there. Um, and then the 3rd seed then plays with like the 1 seed in like the next round or something. I don't if the worst case scenario happens and they have to play 2 teams that are already pretty good and stacked up against them, I don't think you have that worry. And then you have if you have 4 road games, that means you have the trump card of Kyrie for 4 games. You already have to deal with 2 former MVPs, one of the greatest scorers of all time, the dude who scored 36 points per game, and then they get Kyrie on the road. So you have to game plan for basically 2 different teams. I think when that happens, it's going to be enough of like a discombobulation or inertia thing. We're not worried. And then on top of that, they still get to practice with Kyrie. So I do think there's going to be like some live in game adjustments that are going to be a little hectic for them to catch on. But if we're talking about you just got to come together for 4 games, and if y'all watched Kyrie last year, and I get that they only played like 7 games together, when Kyrie's doing his own thing, it's not like there's an offense around him. It's kind of ISO ball. He gonna catch that ball on like the elbow or the wing, and he gonna dance, and then he gonna get to the hole or take some type of tough shot in like the mid range. It's not an offense. We just kind of need him to go be the 2 guard, because I prefer Harden to play point guard anyway for this team. So if we got Harden there, I'm not really worried. We got like a healthy Harden. He looked like he in shape. He out here playing games. We got KD. We got Joe Harris. So instead of us having 4 20-plus point per game scores, we got 3. Ouch.
They also have Patty Mills now, so
We saw what Patty Mills been doing. Like he can go ahead and do a decent Kyrie impersonation, especially against like bench players. Like he can go get us like 12 to 15 a game.
So what you're saying is you think that throughout all this trials and tribulations, whatever, that the Brooklyn Nets are your pick out the East.
Oh yeah, they might pick to win the whole thing, regardless.
Okay. Calvin, do you know yours?
I've been trying to think and look through rosters, and I haven't had a chance to finish. But like the Nets, like I'm not gonna lie, like they're worse picks than the Nets. In fairness, like it's still like if they weren't the 1 seed coming out, it honestly wouldn't surprise me wildly, right? But like them making it to a final seems it's realistic. It's just like, will your dude stay healthy enough? Right? Because you can't really have, in particular, Harden or KD missing all that many games.
It's definitely realistic enough. It's realistic enough. There's just so many variables that are unknown at this moment that could make or break their team, like legitimately, right? So it's realistically if everything goes right. But there's so many opportunities for something to go wrong that I don't know if I can put my money on that, right? But for me personally, I'm gonna go safe bet. I'm gonna go safe bet, and I'm gonna just go Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah. Milwaukee Bucks, right? Milwaukee Bucks, safe bet. They don't have very many injury-prone players. They have Giannis, which you can't really they're just very safe. They have guaranteed buckets. They have guaranteed boards. They have guaranteed defense. If you have all these other teams with these variables, right? The Milwaukee Bucks don't have nearly as many negative variables as other teams, right? So if you were to put the Milwaukee Bucks right now, oh no, they lost PJ Tucker. If you were to put the Milwaukee Bucks right now up against the rest of the East, I think they're the safest bet to come out of the East.
Okay. The repeat offenders. I rock with your decision. I don't know why. I just don't have as much faith in their offense this year. But I also thought
remember that you didn't have faith in that.
I still kind of don't they didn't play the best teams. They played injured Nets. They basically played Kevin Durant with a Superman symbol on his chest, and his foot was just too big. He also airballed the last three, but we're not gonna talk about that. That's not fun. And then you play the Suns, which again, not a bad team, but that was not the Chris Paul we're used to seeing ever. I've never seen Chris Paul play like that for a 3-4 game stretch ever.
Yeah, but I also all these teams weren't durable. The Bucks were. The Bucks were. And what makes me think, and I'm using that same logic going into this season, right? Durability. And the Bucks have shown to be durable while other teams and some of their best players, East and West, have shown to be the opposite. So I'm going to go with the durability for this season.
That's fair, highest floor.
Yeah. I know. I rock with you on that. Let's move over to the contenders who are most likely going to be pretenders section. And I see a lot of people with Golden State in their top 5. And the fact that Klay does not come back until mid-January?
Real quick.
What's up?
Because we didn't do the stuff for the West. Are we not jumping the gun just a little? Or how are we doing this?
Oh, we're going for people who we think is going to win the championship.
No, I'm saying we just did this. We were just talking about the East.
Why would we just talk about the East? So y'all didn't listen to my lead-in at all. No, we're talking about the people who are winning championships.
Well,
did y'all not choose who was winning the championship?
I did not.
No, I picked who came out the East.
I picked him out the East as well.
Sometimes if you guys listen to me, we would not look this discombobulated on live TV. Congratulations.
Well, this is television, so good thing this is not television.
Instagram TV is TV. You got TV in the title.
Whatever. But for the West, it's probably the Lakers. It might be the Suns because most of their players are young and they should only improve, barring serious injuries or something.
And Chris Paul. Don't forget the old man, Chris Paul.
Oh, ain't no one forgetting about Chris Paul. Is just if we're trying to make an argument for why they should be able to do what they do even with a healthy, restructured Lakers team, it's off the assumption that their young players continue to get better. Right?
Okay. Yeah. I don't choose the Lakers. I choose the Denver Nuggets. Right?
I actually like this.
I don't say Lakers because of this. Okay. The Lakers team is stacked, right? If you watch pictures of them, or you've seen the pictures of them, they are stacked for 2014, right? In 2021, right, you have an aging Carmelo Anthony who can still hit the mid-range in the trailing 3, but still, he's an aging Carmelo Anthony. Not everybody's LeBron. You have LeBron, who for the last couple of years, at least the last year, has gotten hurt. And, He's aging. Father Time is undefeated. You know, all the cliche sayings that are said about this, whatever, right? You have Russell Westbrook, who still can't shoot a three. Like, he still can't shoot a three, and LeBron thrives off just being surrounded by shooters. And we have not seen LeBron thrive when he's not in that very specific situation. You have Anthony Davis. Okay, cool. Anthony Davis might get injured, and that's not saying that's not, you know, that's not saying anything crazy. That's like a legitimate possibility because Anthony Davis is an injury-prone player. Okay, now you got the bench. Dwight Howard, whatever, right? He is a pedestrian backup center at this moment, right? He's a fine backup center.
Fair. I just think like pedestrian is selling him short, even if it's just like he's mostly a backup center at this point.
Right. If you are a center and you're playing 10 to 15 minutes a game and you're in there to mostly foul and every so often get like really good blocks to be on SportsCenter top 10. Now, he's a Hall of Fame player, just not this year and not last year, right? So, love Dwight. Alan, I know you love Dwight, but I'm calling a spade once again. Okay, you got Rajon Rondo. We saw him in the playoffs last year. Rajon Rondo also is an aging player. All these players are aging, and the Lakers could be really good. Or this can be another Cleveland Cavaliers team when LeBron brought all his Dwayne Wades and LeBron brought his, Derrick Rose in. Players that thrived after that, actually, in other situations. But LeBron bringing the Super Friends in hasn't always worked out before, right? But I say the Nuggets because Murray got hurt. Murray did not play last season. When Murray wasn't able to play, Michael Porter Jr. thrived. Point blank period. Jokic, MVP. Jokic's game does not change a thing. Michael Porter Jr.'s confidence needed to go up because he needed the team to depend on him more, right? That's why they gave him that ridiculous contract. Now, they have a very good team around them, right? Role players that are able to just like make cuts so Jokic can pass to you, or set screens so Michael Porter Jr. can get open, or whatever the position needs, they are able to do because they know their job. Now, you add Murray into there, Murray as that guard necessity. That's not just a shooter, but he can drive. He will put you on a poster, but also he is tenacious when it comes to defense, right? And that is what you need. Is he a great defender? He's a really good defender. But he's tenacious. He will go at you, and he might drop 40 on you, right? So I think adding him back into the equation, granted, if he doesn't get hurt, I'm not sure that if he doesn't get hurt, I don't have them winning championship because Michael Porter Jr. didn't need to step up. But he got hurt. Michael Porter Jr. did step up, put Murray, who's already a dog, back into the equation, boom. Western Conference champions.
Okay. I rock with your answer on Western Conference championships, and I will raise you in LA Clippers. I'm just kidding.
I almost said that, actually.
Oh, I would never say that. That's loser DNA, but they have Super Paul George. You know that's loser DNA. They have loser DNA. That's a loser franchise. That's what they are.
Relax. If Kawhi doesn't get hurt last year, then the finals. So
yes.
Loser DNA. It's just a circumstance.
Hey, if you can look in your DNA to see how injury prone you will be, and I don't know if that's true, but we gonna go with it because I said it, and it's already out there. And that is a very Clippers thing to happen where your best player gets injured, like right before. And like, it's not a very Clippers thing to happen because they never get that far. But it is a very Clippers thing to happen because that's what made them lose.
But also,
it's always a reason why they lose. It's either because they suck or something happens.
We can't blame it on them last year because everybody's best players got hurt last year for that rush schedule.
True, but if we're going to Lob City, the last time they actually had a chance to do anything, what happened every time where they were about to win? Injuries.
Chris Paul.
Injuries, exactly. Injuries. So every time you actually have a chance to be a contender, which as far as I'm concerned, the only two times has been Lob City and now. injuries.
A Kawhi Leonard led team is never pretenders; they're always contenders. I refuse to believe any team led by Kawhi is ever a pretender.
I didn't say anything about pretender. They're just losers. And it's not
you're saying
fault. It's the Clippers' fault. They're losers.
You're saying pretender by definition without using for the word pretender. You're saying the pretenders though, because everybody has them as contenders, or everybody has them as a chance to win a championship. You're just saying, yeah, they're up there, but because they're Clippers, they won't win. That's pretender.
Okay. Look.
Okay.
I'll
real quick, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
This is just the thoughts that crossed my mind. So like, and like I think when it comes to like turning a team into like a championship team, I think we might be giving Kawhi too much credit.
Shut your mouth.
Ooh.
Like, no, like here's the thing, right? Because, all right, when he won with the Spurs, like he wasn't the guy for the Spurs, right? Like he was important, right? But like he wasn't the guy. All right. When he went to Toronto, it's like, yes, he was the guy, but it was also a team that was already consistently coming into the playoffs as like the best team in the conference. And so like, which isn't to say like he wasn't important, right? Because like he was. It's just that like I don't think like it's like a LeBron situation where like simply having him is enough to make a team the real deal.
Huh. Okay. And here's what I say to that.
Hey, hold up. Before you start, Calvin.
Yes.
When your part pops up when we do the video, I'm writing straight facts across your forehead.
Okay.
No, that's not facts.
Straight
right, okay. No. Here's what I'm gonna do. All right. Let me answer some of these things. All right. So, yeah, he wasn't the man for the Spurs, but he won an MVP of the finals. LeBron was visibly frustrated. The best player of that team every single time Kawhi was in the game. We have all seen the videos. LeBron, man, I can't believe it. LeBron mumbling to himself, visibly in distraught when Kawhi comes to the game. The best player that any of us have had the pleasure of watching on live TV, right? Mm-hmm. So, he impact undeniable. Now, when it comes to the Toronto Raptors, replace this winning Toronto team, replace Kawhi with DeRozan, they get swept again. So, and DeRozan's not pedestrian. DeRozan's all-star. DeRozan's very, very good, right? But replace Kawhi with DeRozan, they don't win. All you do is change one thing out, and you put Kawhi in there. What happens? They win. Point blank, period. But also, if you want to start using, what are the words called? You want to start putting disclaimers on championships. You can put a disclaimer on every single championship.
Oh no,
right?
This isn't about.
If Draymond Green doesn't get suspended, the Golden State wins. LeBron loses another final. Like you can go into almost every championship and do that exact same thing. But Kawhi is that guy. He's that guy.
Like here's the thing. I believe that he's very good, right? I'm not sitting here trying to argue like he can't be the best player on the championship team. That's not really the argument I'm attempting to make. The argument I'm attempting to make is that like it seems like, especially like since Toronto in particular, right? When he was a 1-year rental and like it did like just enough went right that it worked, right? That like we act like that having him is all like on that Clippers squad is all that needs to happen for them to be like the real deal. And like fairness, they also have like Paul George, who like you don't take seriously, which is that's fair. But like my argument is just like just because he's on that team does not, I don't think necessarily makes them a legitimate contender. You're going to have to make an argument for players outside of just him right now. If you need a dude to win a game for you, like, yeah, but like again, basketball is a team sport, right? If the rest of your team isn't up to snuff, it doesn't matter how good your main guy is.
If you are in my opinion, if you are a top 5 player in the NBA, right, and you're arguably top 5 player in the NBA, if you're on a team, they're contenders, right? If you're on a team, they're contenders, right? If you name all the top 5 players right now, and I'll actually get into this point later on.
Would you consider the Mavs contenders?
Yes, but no, I don't. I won't consider them contenders, but I also don't consider Luka top 5.
I rock with that. I rock with that statement.
Okay.
So Luka wouldn't be in that conversation to me because he's James Harden, but doesn't score nearly as well because he doesn't shoot the 3 as well, right? So like I wouldn't put Luka at top 5. So Luka's not in that conversation to me personally. Now people can argue about that, whatever it is, and I'm fine to have those arguments. Comment below, but that's just me personally.
But like the thing though, keep in mind also that like I think that they're, in fairness, like all of these like the top 5 things feels like it oscillates constantly, but like most people would consider Anthony Davis, especially at his best, one of the best players in the league, and like we all know that having him on your team doesn't even guarantee a playoff appearance.
That's very true. Especially when you go back and look at the New Orleans days, right?
Right.
But the issue is, or not the issue, but the difference between a situation like Anthony Davis and a situation like Kawhi. Like Anthony Davis, you have to win something. And Anthony Davis consistently didn't win a thing. Like since from Kentucky until he went to LA, he didn't win nothing. And a lot of that was them putting a team that wasn't good around him, like legitimately, right? But a lot of those years, he was arguably top 5, but he wasn't definitive top 5 either. Like a lot of those
most of the dudes were gonna start arguing about being top 5 or debatable. Like they're definitely like top 10. Yeah. But like I feel like the top 5 kind of oscillates a fair bit, except for like 2 or 3 dudes.
I think that's true, right? But once you get the first 2, 3 dudes, 4 dudes, whatever, that like is true. But a lot of this also does have to do with like how is your team, what situations is your team putting you in, right? Good, bad situations, whatever. Situations to where you would excel at and the team around you would excel based around your skill set. But Anthony Davis he's always been injury prone. There's been certain things that go along with him, but when Kawhi, be like, yeah, he's injury prone too. Is Kawhi injury prone, or do they give excuses for Kawhi to let's sit down? Is he actually injury prone? And a lot of times he's been injured, not as much as Anthony Davis, 100% sure, right? But their situations are different. But once again, Kawhi wins everywhere he goes. Anthony Davis just does.
But like the thing though, right? If we're gonna be like he wins everywhere he goes, like the Spurs were winning before Kawhi got there, right? The Spurs were already good.
The Spurs also weren't gonna win if he wasn't there, right?
I mean, but the thing is, you can say that like we start getting into that, and like the thing is, everybody who plays on the team and got any kind of real minutes mattered to the final outcome, which is again like Kawhi was important, right? I'm not trying to debate that. It's just that like. At a certain that doesn't necessarily mean that like he's the sole reason that they got a ring, or like again, if we're talking about like top 5, again like Steph Curry, like they like having him on your team didn't guarantee playoff contention either. Like didn't get them in the playoffs either.
I need y'all to understand we went on a 10-minute contingent.
I'm sorry.
I'm not sorry.
About the Clippers, I have no faith in. Let's not consider it. But to go back to my pick coming out the West, I gotta go with Philip's pick for Denver. I don't really see a better team because I'm really shaky on the Lakers, like health wise. Like
Is Murray hurt?
He is hurt, but he comes back in January. But we've seen what that Nuggets team looks like without him. Like I still have a lot of faith in that. And then if he comes back and he's like, let's say 80% by the time the playoffs roll around, 80% Murray is still going to give you a pretty good defender and also going to be a guy that can score at least 18 points. You don't need him like super full strength, especially if you're actualizing Michael Porter Jr. the way you need to. If he can hit shots and he gets his time with the ball, then having Buddy is kind of like a similar situation in that they have with the Nets, where you tell him you popping in a dude that can score 20 a night. Oh, okay, that's not fair for most people in the league. And but to move on to what I feel like you guys already have, pointed out as who you think is a pretender, and this doesn't mean like separate. We're not talking about the separate conferences. We're talking about like the all over one that you guys do not have faith in. And my pick for that is Golden State. I already said this earlier. They don't get Clay back until January. We know what this team has to do scoring wise to be really efficient or like really good offensively. And that's Steph Curry go crazy every night, which he can do. But he's also shown that when he has a heavy workload, injuries happen. And then we got to watch, playmaker Draymond, which isn't awful, but he's 1 year older. And I do not have faith in him really having to carry any type of load. Yes, they got younger pieces, but that doesn't exactly amount to wins in this situation. So my biggest pretender for a title contender is going to have to be Golden State at this point.
Wait, so like pretender means like legitimately has a chance to win a championship, or people think they do?
People think they have.
Okay, well, you have a really good one, honestly, with Golden State. Because if you hadn't said it, I would have said it, right? But outside of that, I think I'm going to go with. I think I'm going to go with the Phoenix Suns.
Okay, I was actually surprised that you said Phoenix Suns because you just gave like earlier in your defense for Denver, you gave a lot of reasons why you think the Lakers are probably more of a pretender.
But I don't already talk about that. So let me talk about another. So let me clown another team, okay? Yes. Okay. I say the Phoenix Suns. Yes, their role players are going to be more established in their roles, right? Yes, Devin Booker is going to be Devin Booker, if not better in certain ways, right? But their top two dependent on player is Chris Paul, and you won't win a championship with Chris Paul being your top two dependent on player. Why? Injuries, and I'll say it on season 4, like I said on season 3, 2, and 1. Chris Paul has the heart of LeBron, but the body of Chris Paul. And he will go as hard as he can whenever he's on the court, regular season, playoffs, and throughout his entire career. We have seen that not hold up, including last year when he got hurt in the finals, which is unfortunate, but it just follows the pattern of his career when going into the playoffs. Let alone he's a year older. And not everybody can be LeBron when they get that age to where they're just like physically gifted. I don't care if Chris Paul spends $1 million on his body like LeBron does. He doesn't have the genetics of LeBron, right? He doesn't have the God-given ability of LeBron. He is Chris Paul, right? So I think when you have when one of your best players and the one of the players you're going to depend on and the one of the players that you paid is Chris Paul, winning the championship. Getting to the playoffs, whole different story. Winning the championship, game 6, 7, last 2 games of the season. Chris Paul is going to be Chris Paul throughout his history has shown that he's going to be a hindrance because of the ticky-tack or sometimes big injuries.
So, like, if I was just going to make a quick argument against that, even though, like, it's a solid point, it's just that, like, the whole thing, like, if you're Chris Paul and you're the Suns, is that ultimately, especially as he gets older, the younger players will get better and take on, you know, bigger chunks of this, of what they need to do. And like Chris Paul, while he doesn't necessarily guarantee a raised ceiling, even though like he has tended to raise ceilings, he definitely raises the floor, right?
Mm-hmm.
They will be a better team than they would be if they didn't have him.
Oh, that's undeniable. Like, I 100% agree with you on that one, right? But when it comes to, you know, yes, the other players could pick up the load, but there's a reason why people call Chris Paul a point guard. It's because only Chris Paul does things when he's healthy that only Chris Paul can do. But the issue is that H word, healthy. And I'm not sure if he can get through that whole entire back end of the season, let alone deep playoff run. You know, to the playing at the level of what one would be accustomed to of Chris Paul playing, especially when he's like, what, 35, 36 now? So,
yeah. And to push back a little bit on Calvin's argument, as far as what I've seen, and y'all can tell me if I'm wrong, I feel like Devin Booker has already taken his leap. It's just about recognition of it now, and the next person up for their leap to go on, I think that's DeAndre Ayton, and I don't know what that fully looks like. Is that him extending his range, being a much better defensive player? And I don't know exactly if that's enough. Like, he still has to match up with Giannis, and Giannis is going to be just physically better than him. And then let's say he can now shoot 3-pointers. And I know that's not something that's probably going to happen over this offseason, but how many 3-pointers does he have to shoot? Like, is he shooting like 35% from 3 on like 3 attempts, which is kind of just crazy for a dude who's never attempted any type of outside shot.
Yeah,
so, I just don't know what it looks like.
I'm thinking his next step would be defensive anchor of like a Rudy Gobert status of just like block. You know what I mean? Like, that's his next step, because offensively he's nice. Like it is what it is, right? He's got a very soft touch around the rim. He's nice, but I think that defensively is where he needs to like grow, to like reach a crazy status level, right? Because he's not as mobile as Joel Embiid, so he won't be able to be Joel Embiid. And Joel Embiid is probably the closest like MVP level player that's like kind of similarly built skill-wise to Ayton, and he won't be offensively that fluid. Like, it is what it is. He just won't be, right? He's nice for what he can do, but fluidity, people are just built different, and he's not built that way. So I think that's coming from the other end of the court, defense. That's why I said Rudy Gobert, to where like it's not necessarily just like to the level of Rudy Gobert, but to the fact that every time the other team goes to the rim, they need to be worried about you blocking the shot literally every single time, right? So I think that's where his next step would be. But once again, I don't think that step is crazy enough for them to win a championship, though.
Exactly. All right, Calvin, who you got as a pretender, my boy?
Okay.
I've never heard of the Sacramento.
Sorry. No, it's just I'm trying to think this out and be like, do I really agree with this? Right? Because I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna be unhappy about it. Right?
It's preseason, baby. You can make all the dumb decisions now. It don't matter.
Sure, it's very true.
Nah, but like because it's like really the reason I'm unhappy with this one is just because like I kind of like the team, but like probably the Jazz, right? Like and
I like that.
but and like and for me, I think a lot of it is one, I guess, kind of how they go about defense, which seems to be mainly to funnel folks into Gobert, which works for a while, but like, dude's gotta like you can't have your team defense built around one dude, but also like they kind of struggle to stay healthy, like in the backcourt in particular. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, weren't both Conley and Mitchell hurt in the playoffs?
Yes.
Yes.
Like,
Mitchell got and then Conley was hurt. Mitchell got hurt, and then Conley was hurt the entire time.
Right. It's just like when the playoffs roll around, you're going to need your best players, right? Like, you might be able to get away with it for like a series, but like that's gonna stop pretty quick, right? Where you can get away with it without having like your most important players on the floor. And like but in addition to that, right, like in terms of like when we start talking about other contenders, right, their best offensive players are better than the Jazz's best offensive players, right?
Yeah.
And like while Conley's still solid at defense, he's not the best he's ever been. And so like there's only one really good defender on the team, unless I'm mistaken, and someone can correct me if I am wrong. And that's Gobert, which is fine. He is very, very good at playing defense. But like if he's your only guy, right? Because like unlike like a Draymond or like a Marcus Smart, you can't put him on the other team's best player most nights, because most of those dudes are like backcourt players, ones, twos, and threes, and he's not keeping up with any of them. He's just gonna get his feelings hurt, and it's like, yeah, you can put him on like Embiid, right, or
Cookable.
Jokic.
I'm just saying he's cookable when he plays Embiid, but
yeah, but everybody is. That's not really saying anything.
I will say, look, you're making great points. I just want to put this out there. You're making great points. I agree with everything you're saying.
But like most teams' best players aren't big men, right? A lot of times, none of their most important players are big men, and like even if you keep funneling dudes to him, like at some point they're going to make shots. They're going to get space they shouldn't have gotten, or like the timing might be a little off, or like his defender is over, the dude he's supposed to be guarding is over there somewhere, because there are centers in the league that can shoot threes now, and he's got to get out even if they can't like get to the rim on him. And it's just like I don't really know what to do with all that. Like I'm not that confident in it. Right?
Rudy Gobert is a playoff mismatch, like in the negative way. Defensively, his defensive skills dwindle in the playoffs because once again you're playing the best player, you're playing the best team in the league. The best teams in the league tend to have guards, 1s, 2s, and 3s who are the best players, and Rudy Gobert is on an island out there, and you see it every single year. If Rudy Gobert is on your team and he's a significant focus on your team, you will not win a championship. Point blank, period.
Well, the thing is, I think you just have to set the team up such that you don't have to, in particular, you don't have to rely on him solely when it comes to like having a solid defense.
But the issue is they will, because he's so good at what he does. But he's so good at what he does, they will rely on him. But the issue is what he's so good at doing isn't sustainable when you slow the game down in the playoffs of the NBA going against the Lakers, the Clippers, the Mavericks, all these different individuals. You know what I mean? So, maybe against the Pelicans when they have Zion, right? But everybody else, no.
He'd be a terrible matchup for Zion.
He would be, but Zion has to go to the rim eventually.
Yeah, but like something that I keep getting reminded of every time I watch Zion play is that like he's got really good body control, but not in the same way like a lot of guards will. Where it's like a lot of like double clutches and like just super fancy layups. It's just like he just moves his body around you when you're in his way, right? It just like slithers just past, and like Gobert can't do anything about that. Like he can do it, like he'll be able to make it harder, and like he'll have to do it further away from the rim.
It's all
little.
It's all like make it harder.
And I gotta be real with y'all. Is it Zion also one of the like few guys who can probably just go over the top of Rudy Gobert?
No, not Zion from Duke. Yes, Zion now. No. Zion from Duke was jumping over people essentially. Zion now just has really good body control, as Calvin says, and he goes through people. Like he's not going over anybody; he's just going through them. But that's what he has to get to the rim. And Rudy Gobert can just stand there and put his hands up. Now, is Zion still going to get 20-something? Of course he is. But it's going to be tough. You know what I mean? Rudy Gobert's going to get his 3 blocks a game, which people think is like Defensive Player of the Year caliber. But, it is whatever.
But, like, the thing, though, right, is like at Duke, right, when they played against Gonzaga, Hachimura was able to slow him down because at that point, I don't think he was that used to, like, other dudes having the frame and like athleticism to like keep up with him, but he's been in the league a second now. I don't think it's going to affect him like it would have when he was 18.
Yeah,
it's not gonna affect them but even at Duke, you saw what he did Taco. Like you saw what he did the Falls. You know what I mean? So it can affect him back then. You know what I mean? But nowadays I'm just saying like he's gonna go through you more than like try to like go around you just because like. The announcers are trying to watch the game last year with that's a man's body. Like, okay, we get it. Like, he's a big guy. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, but yeah. All right, what's next?
I think we're about an hour in. Do y'all want it? We can make it quick.
Can we do one? Let's just do MVP.
Yeah, like who got as MVP? Because I'm gonna be real with you. If we're talking about Kyrie not being here, it's definitely Kevin Durant.
Hold on, I'll say this. I had thought about this. I've thought about this. It's going to be if Ben Simmons doesn't play for the 76ers, it's going to be Joel Embiid. If Ben Simmons does play, it's going to be Kevin Durant. It depends on what Ben Simmons does, depends on who's going to win MVP. If Ben Simmons doesn't play, and the whole offense of the 76ers is surrounding Joel Embiid, Joel Embiid's going to win MVP. Like point blank period. There'll be no low moments. He's gonna get a career high in assists. He's going to do his thing offensively. That made him really close to winning MVP last year. And to not share the rebounds with Ben Simmons, he's going to end up getting more rebounds also. It will be Joel Embiid. If Ben Simmons does play, Joel Embiid is back to doing the same numbers he did last year. MVP contender, which is still really good, but MVP contender top 2 or 3. But it will be Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant has the offense can go through him, right? James Harden's going to get mad assists just from giving chest passes to Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant doesn't have to focus on anything besides scoring. But I think that's the situation that's going to happen.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. We're talking about a dude who's definitely going to take Kyrie Irving's scoring load. James Harden might be the one who presses him again for it, because James Harden's going to probably score 25 and have 12 assists just based off those 12. At least 7 assists he's going to get from Kevin Durant. And we already saw what Buddy can do when he's by himself. We know greatest scorer of all time, my favorite player. I'll be the fan out here that caps for my boy Kevin Durant. I see no wrong in anything he does.
Except leaving OKC, but whatever.
Hey, I understood why, but how long ago was that? That's
That's
2015.
that's been a minute while from now. Yeah, that's been a minute ago.
I was
I don't
19.
forget. I don't
I was
forget.
19 when that happened. I was okay that I cried because I missed him. That's what it was about. It wasn't about anything else besides the fact that I was going to be missing him, and I knew what that roster was made of without having him on that team. And it's okay because it got Russell Westbrook a MVP, but that's not what we're talking about. Technically, it is, but that's not what we're talking about right now. Uh, Calvin, let's go ahead and hear who you got for MVP.
Um, so you know what? I think I might go with Jokic. But
For the
I also
repeat,
feel like and granted, even though like it'd probably be KD, like if somebody from the Nets won MVP, I feel like Harden would probably be more deserving in terms of like actually being the team's most
who
important player from a sense that like, no, it's just like I feel like with the Nets in terms of like their offense and whatever,
Mhm.
not that KD doesn't matter because like it's KD, but like Harden is more important to like the flow of their offense and making everything work and making sure everybody gets their shots and spots that they like and all of that. In addition to, of course, getting his own, which he is still able to do, in part because KD exists in fairness. But
Yeah, that makes a
um,
lot of sense to me. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If could change my mind, I would change my mind to James Harden, but I'm about to. But I'm like sticking to my guns, you know.
fair.
all right.
Also, just if I may, rookie of the year, I think is probably going to be Cunningham.
I have no faith in Cade this year.
Wait, why?
Okay, it's not because I don't think Cade's going to be really good, and I wouldn't give my pick to Jalen Green either. I think they're in perfect situations. They're going to be really good, but I am going to be a full blown homer here and go with Jalen Suggs. I don't know. Have y'all watched Jalen Suggs during the preseason?
Uh,
Jalen Suggs looks like he didn't leave Gonzaga, and I don't mean from like a dominant perspective. He's not putting up like crazy numbers or anything, but just like looking physical, being able to handle everything that the NBA players have, and just being an amazing defender. Like dudes out here taking charges. I always think charges are lame, but when Jalen Suggs does it, I root for it a little bit. He out
uh,
here, he out here having good strip assists. Like when dudes are getting to the rim, he's able to challenge. Like he's not shy about it. Like, like I really like what Jalen Suggs offers to this always shaky but somewhat talented Orlando Magic team. So I'm going to go ahead and cast my vote for Jalen Suggs, even though it is like completely not going to happen. I do not care. I am going to give that man my vote because I like what he is giving me, and because I live in Tampa, I'm going to be able to see a ton of his games, so I'm going to be biased anyway.
I'm gonna say it sucks too. Why? No good reason. But I just want to say this real quick. This isn't official superlative. But the most exciting team to watch this year is going to be the Chicago Bulls.
That's fair.
Watch, they're going to be the most exciting team, and they're going to be a 5 seed in the East.
I like that.
I hmm.
Zach LaVine, Zach LaVine with Lonzo Ball in the backcourt looks like Zach LaVine looks so happy to have DeMar DeRozan and Lonzo Ball, like other guards that can do other things besides him. Like he just looks like so he is smiling at every possession. It's like kind of weird to watch. Like he looks so happy. And they're just gonna be a really fun team to watch. But I think they're gonna be really good though, honestly.
It's like I was looking at it, like I think they probably have a chance to be better than folks think they'll be.
Yeah, I don't.
Right.
People are thinking they're gonna play be like a playing game, kind of play. But I wouldn't be surprised if they have a better overall record than the Dallas Mavericks.
Ooh, I rock that.
I also think people just, and you're looking at, when I say people, I think like the sports media, I guess, doesn't want to give Zach LaVine the credit he like legitimately deserves as being like as good as he actually is, right? Because when he came to the league, people were saying that he needs to go to the G League for a little. Like people have been undercutting him his entire career, and because he's only been looked at as like a dunker for some reason, when like he has, especially last year, he was putting up numbers. And teams were double and triple teaming him on possessions because the Bulls' team was garbage, and he was still putting up those all-star caliber numbers. But I think he's gonna have a breakout year this year. It's even in comparison to last year, because DeMar DeRozan helps because DeMar DeRozan's still nice in the mid-range and at the rim.
He's also a better playmaker now than he used to be.
He is much better. Lonzo Ball can shoot, and he's also like a really good passer, and Zach LaVine can just like back cut and like because he's shifty, you know what I mean? Zach LaVine can just like move up the ball, and he knows someone will see him, you know what I mean? So I think all these things like these correlate together, and they're gonna be a really, really, really fun team to watch. So arguably the most exciting team in the NBA.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. They already look pretty good in preseason, and they are putting up crazy numbers as a team, like 115 a game. So continue that, and at the bare minimum, what people who have WGN are going to have a really good show just about every night.
I have League Pass, so I don't need that, but okay.
Hey, me too. I'm excited. Yo, Calvin, you got League Pass?
I do not, actually.
Philip, you know what to do.
That's not my League Pass. My cousin's League Pass.
You know what to do. Your cousin appreciate the show. Hey,
what about you?
Tell him if he can do
We
this.
can talk about this later.
What about you, though?
No, our viewers need to hear this.
What about you?
We need to put the peer pressure on Philip. That's what we go. Hey, comment below to peer pressure Philip into giving Calvin his
HBO Max.
password.
HBO Max, I got you.
Write it off on your taxes.
It's not. Oh my god.
Wait, you not pay for your own League Pass?
He said what?
So you do not play for your own League Pass?
No, I put it in the group chat. What I do, and we're not gonna talk about it here, but understand y'all need to get what I put in the group chat.
If it was 95, Alan would be stealing his neighbor's cable. But okay, I got you.
Oh, without a doubt, boy, I'm poor. What you mean? That's why we're doing this podcast, so I don't have to be poor anymore.
Okay,
that's the goal.
Right.
With a popular podcast, become millionaires. That's always been the goal.
Hey, listen, I'm right there with you. Let's get it.
All right. Y'all want to do a defensive player of the year? Because it could just be Rudy Gobert for like what the 5th time.
Like
I like that.
I really hope.
Given the the way they tend to do it, which incorporates rebounds, which while personally like I think rebounds are important. I don't really consider them part of defense. Exactly. I consider like a middle point, like a transition point between. Anyway, that's a whole different thing. Point is, they'll probably give it to Gobert, even though like I don't know, like hypothetically, like Marcus Smart might be deserving of it, or like a handful of other like lockdown defenders in the league. It'll probably just be Gobert again.
Yes, it's gonna be regular season Gobert. Watch.
I think we're gonna have. I don't care. I already told the kids to not play this around their parents. I think we're gonna have some ass kissing going on this year. It is gonna be Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday played too good of defense throughout the playoffs, and everybody was like, "Oh, he's so amazing." They've been doing this thing for like. You remember when what's my man name up in Portland? Who won't be in Portland long, hopefully. Dame. When Dame was really good, and we were all like, "Oh, he's so overrated. Oh, we need to put more respect on him." And then all of a sudden, that's when we started voting him into the All-Star game. I feel like that's what's going to happen with Drew Holiday. If he plays his normal good defense, they're going to be like, "Let's go ahead and give him one because everybody else is talking about him, and that's the hot Dame right now." So
that is
what we deserve it, but that's also a very late reason to win.
That's pretty cynical.
I changed my mind. Agree with you. Alan, because you made two stronger points. So disregard everything I said previously and just like insert your voice into like my mouth.
I don't know if I like that. My voice is good over here.
I do.
But we talked about rookie of the year. We talked about who's coming out, the conferences. We poorly talked about defensive player of the year, and that's how it should be. We talked about MVP pretty in depthly because that's what matters, and that's what we're here for. That's what sells tickets, guys. Buckets. Shoot. Uh, you know what? Y'all want to talk about what y'all are looking forward to this season?
Yeah.
Just like a quick little thing to get us out of here.
You said we're looking forward to the season?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think this season is going to be really interesting because so many teams are even. You know what I mean? I think this season is going to be. I think this season's going to be one that people who enjoy basketball are going to really enjoy, and people who are like passive about basketball might not.
Mm.
I think it's going to be like very like in-depth basketball. Like I like to have arguments about basketball. This is going to be a perfect season for that. Not because there's no like clear-cut anything. Like there's no Golden State. There's no dynasty happening right now, right? So we are witnessing maybe the forthcoming of a dynasty, right? But like there's nothing solidified at the moment. So it's going to be really, really fun to watch overall for like people who are basketball junkies. But outside of that, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to certain draft classes. 2013. I'm looking forward to what the guys, mainly the big names out of there, including Andrew Wiggins, who has just been mad entertaining for vaccine-related reasons. I am excited to see what he does because of what Clay coming back means and what he looks like. If he's truly just going to walk into that Andre Iguodala role and just be a really good defender and be able to shoot a little better, if not, just go ahead and give them a fourth scoring option now that Clay's back in whatever. Like I'm really excited to see what that rotation looks like. And then we got Joel Embiid, who will either be a solo superhero or the most passive aggressive teammate the world has ever known. Who else? I'm also looking forward to that 2018 draft class. We mean Luka Doncic got a super fat $200+ million contract. Trae Young got the same thing, and then we're waiting on DeAndre Ayton's to fall through. The big man from Denver, Michael Porter Jr., got his, and there's like a bunch of other guys who are on basically a prove-it year. So whatever happens for those guys are going to have super big moments for their personal teams. And then this 2021 draft class, like there are dudes on just about every single team that I'm excited to see. Like I want to see what they do with Jonathan Kuminga over in Golden State. Is he really going to be just like under Draymond's wing? Because we're seeing a little bit of passing from him. We're seeing that he can defend multiple positions. Go ahead and force that man to turn into something. Because he's basically really good putty at this point. And then we got a dude who can eventually be a 20+ point per game scorer in Cam Thomas over there with the Nets. So seeing what he can do, seeing how he emerges as like their 6th or 7th double-digit scorer as a rookie is going to be really fun. And then we have the battle of the 1 and 2 that is going to happen at least 2 times this year with Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green. Like, I'm just really excited to see what these draft classes give us because y'all know that's what I'm here for. I'm here to see special groups of people become even more special as the day goes by. That's what I do, baby.
For me, one, of course, just I'd like to see the Grizzlies continue to improve. It's like they made the playoffs last year, but like, I don't know, it felt like it was ahead of schedule. But so like you just
play in tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, but like it also kept out some teams that folks. Whatever. I still think it's dumb. Regardless, like I'm just kind of excited for that and kind of see how the season shakes out for them. Of course, I'm kind of interested in seeing like how the rookies do because like that's always kind of fun. And I'm interested to see if the Knicks can make the playoffs again, which I feel like this sounds kind of underhanded, but it's just like it's not even to say that like basically just I want to see if they can do it again because like it was a long time between their last playoff appearance and this one, even though like they got to the playoffs and didn't do all that well. It's like okay, so that's nice that y'all did it. Can you do it again, or are we just gonna get to go back to talking about how much y'all suck as an organization?
I think they will make the playoffs. I think Julius Randle will learn from mistakes, and I think they'll do. And I think Kemba Walker is a good pickup for them. And Tom Thibodeau will get the best he can out of Kemba Walker.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you guys on that. Calvin, I like your win again energy. Shout out to my man Al Live, who has a really good song that I can't think of the name of right now. But yeah, guys, that is it for the show. I am glad to be back with my friends for a riveting season 4. I was about to say series. That's not what we do over here. This is not that show. But this is the Traveling Hoopers podcast. I am your host, Alan Pettigrew Jr., signing off for the day. Before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and let my friends go ahead and leave you with some fine words.
Well, once again, of course, I'm Calvin McGowan. It's always a pleasure to be here. YouTube, like, share, and subscribe, and all that. You can listen to us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, like, I have various opinions about the upcoming college season, but those are going to wait. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. My name is Philip Dixon, a.k.a. Future Oscar winner. Before I go, I just want to put out there, we weren't doing this during, like, the end of the Olympics. I don't believe the podcast during the end of the Olympics. But for the NBA and NBA players to have this whole thing about, Black Lives Matter and police brutality and America's doing black people wrong, blah, 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 whatever. For Kevin Durant to win a gold medal and shot himself in a American flag was a little ridiculous. If you're an NBA player of that stature, understand that only your words are the only thing people are looking at. Symbolization also is there. So I know, once again, Kevin Durant doesn't want to be that guy, but if you don't want to be that guy, don't do things that kind of contradict what your whole NBA brethrens have been standing for the last year and a half. So I just want to put that out there. But yep, you will see me in the future on here and other places in America.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in thus far. Go ahead and like, subscribe, share, and of course, like on the screen, they're gonna have like the next video up, and then they're gonna have another video that you're gonna like. So go ahead and press either one of those, and then press subscribe. Thank you guys for tuning in, and see you later.